There are some fighters who become champions, and then there are the rare few who completely change the atmosphere the moment they walk into the octagon.
I'm here with one of the most exciting acquisitions ever. Woo!
Brock Lesnar was one of those people. Before a punch had even been thrown, people were already asking the same question. How does anyone deal with a man that size, that athletic, and that explosive? Even today, years after leaving the UFC, fighters still bring his name up whenever the conversation turns to the most intimidating heavyweights the sport has ever seen.
Brock Lesnar is super athletic. He was a Division I national wrestling champion. Yeah, he's older, but he's just a freak. I mean, he's a rare talent.
He's stronger than Bigfoot?
He was stronger as far as like in the clinch. He danced once, and I'm like, okay, I'm not getting out of this. Like I'm gonna wait to see what he does because I can't move. You know, like I'm stuck out here. Like I'm stuck. I even put my foot between the canvas and the fence.
Yeah.
Like I shoved my foot in there, like, you know, try to stop this. And no, he lifted my legs up, took me down. But yeah. So he was strong in that sense.
But it wasn't just his size that made him terrifying. The more fighters spoke about Brock, the more one thing became clear. He was unlike anything the heavyweight division had seen before. That's why so many UFC fighters have talked about him over the years. Some respected him, some criticized him, but almost all agreed he was a completely unique challenge.
He and I were the same year in college wrestling, and Brock was very effective. He was an undefeated national champion. Now, the other side of that coin, he was 60 pounds heavier than the guys that he was wrestling. He was 60 pounds heavier than the guy he had for the national championship. I could tell you if I had even 6 pounds on a guy, he couldn't make it into overtime with me. 60 pounds. It's relevant to it. He still got his hand raised. He still found a way to do it. I'm not.
Brock Lesnar is a very decorated wrestler. And he was world champion before. Of course, he got suspended because of performance-enhancing drug, and right away he's back for a title shot. That's why people is complaining. This I understand. But in terms of his pedigree as a fighter, as a martial artist, I consider wrestling, boxing as a martial art as well. He's a well-decorated athlete, and he proved his skill before.
I've met Brock Lesnar a couple times now.
See his daughter?
Yeah.
His daughter's a shot put champion. She's a tank. Yeah, that's just pure Viking genetics, man. Those are the people at the front of the boat with the big battle axe. And you saw that both pull up to your village. You knew you better start running to those mountains.
God, I just can't imagine having to get in the ring with a guy like that.
When you hear those opinions together, you start to understand why Brock's UFC run left such a lasting impression. Joe Rogan has often described Brock as a genuine athletic freak. Heavyweights are supposed to be big, but Brock combined unbelievable size with speed and explosiveness that simply didn't make sense.
Brock Lesnar, man, I swear that if Brock Lesnar got into mixed martial arts right out of college, went college wrestler, right into training, really learned striking, and learned slowly, like took some small fights.
Like John Jones did.
Yeah, and then, but really learned striking instead of like spending all that time doing WWE, which I'm sure he made a fuckload of money.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, good for him. That's all great and everything like that. But man, I think he could have been one of the all-time greats. I really do.
He was
he's
so
a freak.
strong.
He's a freak.
Nobody I remember cutting that much to heavyweight.
Dude, he was giant.
Yeah, but those heavyweights would weigh in with their jeans on because they're like, it's whatever I am.
There was no testing back then.
Oh, yeah?
You got to realize that the testing back then was horseshit.
Before MMA, he'd already become an elite collegiate wrestler before turning into one of WWE's biggest stars. That background gave him a combination of elite wrestling and raw physicality that very few fighters had ever experienced. Daniel Cormier has also explained that people underestimate just how difficult it is to stop someone with Brock's wrestling once he gets hold of you. It wasn't only technique, it was the sheer strength behind it. Brock could explode into takedowns, control opponents with relentless pressure, and make every second underneath him exhausting. That's something several of his opponents have echoed over the years. Frank Mir has spoken about how overwhelming Brock felt once he established top control.
We're heading into that first fight with Brock. Were you like, I'm just going to destroy this guy?
No, contrary. So I looked at him as, I'm fighting a guy who's a national champion wrestler. So, I mean, he's up there with pedigree that's extremely high. I mean, I looked at Lesnar as a very legitimate threat because of his wrestling background. And then I was backstage getting ready for the fight. One of the other fighters on the card goes, hey, man, you got to do this. It's MMA versus pro wrestling. Oh, you think he's a pro wrestler? Like, the dude's a national champion wrestler. So then that actually put a lot of pressure on me because I'm sitting there going, people are going to think that he's just a pro wrestler? Like, no, give me anybody else. Most of the other pro wrestlers don't have a background in combat. That was upsetting. And so I was really focused to take him out.
As you say, you're a big man yourself, lad, but he's just next level, isn't he? Like, the size of him was just crazy.
It was unreal. I remember even when he was weighing in, I was looking at him. I was like, Jesus, that's a human being. It looked like looking at a steer. You know what I mean? Like, you look at a horse and just like the thickness of their muscles. It was just, I was like, I've never seen a human being look like that.
While Cain Velasquez acknowledged just how physically strong he really was, experienced fighters rarely focus on his muscles alone. They talk about the pressure, the weight, and the feeling that every movement required twice the normal effort. That physical dominance is a huge reason Brock climbed the rankings so quickly. Most heavyweights spend years earning a title shot, but Brock was competing against the very best almost immediately. Some believed he hadn't earned those opportunities, while others argued that his athletic ability was simply impossible to ignore. Chael Sonnen has pointed out that Brock wasn't only a massive draw because of WWE. Fans tuned in because nobody knew what was going to happen.
You've been in the room when he walks out, and you feel something.
Yeah.
There is an attraction. There is a once-in-a-lifetime attraction, and you will stop what you're doing and turn your head and look at the guy with the buzz cut.
Would he overwhelm another elite heavyweight with sheer athleticism, or would experience finally catch up to him? Every fight felt unpredictable, which made every appearance a major event. Winning the UFC Heavyweight title against Randy Couture completely changed how people viewed him. Suddenly, one of the sport's greatest veterans had been beaten by someone with only a handful of professional MMA fights. Brock wasn't just hype anymore, he was champion. What makes his story even more interesting, though, is that fighters also openly acknowledge his weaknesses. Frank Mir submitted him, Cain Velasquez exposed his striking under pressure, and Shane Carwin pushed him to the absolute limit before Brock fought back to secure an incredible comeback victory.
Do you think you could beat Brock Lesnar in his prime?
Yes.
Why?
I'm just better. I'm way better than Brock Lesnar. That's why. I mean, he's old now, but when he was in his prime, I still think I would have beat him then because I'm just better than him.
Those setbacks didn't erase the respect fighters had for him. If anything, they admired the fact that he was learning at the highest level while facing the toughest competition possible. Michael Bisping has also highlighted Brock's impact outside the cage. Whenever he fought, new fans watched the UFC, pay-per-view numbers exploded, and people who had never followed MMA suddenly became interested. Whether fans loved him or wanted to see him lose, they always watched. Listening to all these opinions, one thing becomes obvious. Fighters don't usually call Brock Lesnar the most technical heavyweight in UFC history. Instead, they describe him as something far rarer. A once-in-a-generation athlete with elite wrestling, unbelievable strength, explosive speed, and a level of presence that changed the entire feeling of a fight before it had even started. And maybe that's why Brock Lesnar's UFC career is still talked about today. Fighters may disagree on exactly where he ranks among the greatest heavyweights ever, but they almost all agree on one thing. Whenever Brock Lesnar stepped into the octagon, nobody knew what was about to happen, and that's exactly what made him must-watch every single time.